Hello, everybody. My name is Tom Danvers from Waygate Technologies. Welcome to the webinar. This one, voice commands for your Borescope. So we'll be talking through everything new associated with the MVIQ and the new capability that we have on the device. Let's make a start. So this will be a shorter webinar than what you're used to me taking you through in previous topics. Should be about 30 minutes or so, I think. Time for questions at the end. So please, as we go through this content, if you have any any questions, make a note of them. There'll be time to answer those at the end. So I'll be taking you through essentially what is voice commands and what it does. I imagine you obviously already know through the description. Focus on the use cases associated with using that feature. And then I'll pause and take you through a practical demo on my device that you see over my shoulder, and take you through all these other subjects associated with hardware applicability and frequently asked questions. Okay. What is voice command? So we have now on board the MVIQ Plus that launched earlier this year, so February 2024. We now have the capability to talk and wake up the device and perform a list or a series of commands to the device. It has highlighted on this chart a series of microphones positioned on the front face of the device. These are IP65 rated vents, so it still remains rated as a device, even though you've got these holes for not just the microphones on the front, but there are 2 speakers on the back. There is noise cancelling capability, such that it can filter out the background noise and recognize your voice, such that when you do wake it up, you have to say, "Hey, mentor," or "Hello, mentor," just waking up my device. Then it recognizes your signal as opposed to background noise. And that's very much obviously important in the environments that these devices are used. And it's got a good range of up to 6 meters. Not that you would typically be that far away from your device, but if you were some distance away, it's got a good range. And importantly, for some users, they can make use of, and I'm pointing to my ears, when you put in your headphones or your AirPods or other, like a headset, whether it's USB or Bluetooth connected, voice command will work through that signal, through that connection. So as you can see, I've kind of said you have to sort of wake up the device. So you have to basically register the fact on the Borescope that you then want to say some voice command. To do that, you have to say either "Hey, mentor" or "Hello, mentor." I'm saying that in front of my device, so it's waking up as well. So this is kind of what you see on your screen, this kind of animation on the top of the screen, where these orange bars appear and voice is kind of activated. And then once it's woken up and you see that animation on the top of your screen, you can then say a series of commands. And here's just some of them that I have on the screen here. So if you were to wake it up and then say, "Set brightness to 40, it will automatically take that command and perform that activity. And then you'll get a green banner message at the end of that process saying voice command complete. And you'll see a message saying the image brightness has changed to 40 in this case. So we'll talk about the commands more as we go through this content. But most of the commands are really centered around the image transforms. So in other words, sort of turning on the light, freeze framing, saving an image, adjusting the brightness or the dark boost. So those are kind of image associated commands. And then you have a series of commands associated with capturing data and performing measurements. So if you wanted to save an image or start, pause, or stop a recording, or indeed do point to line measurement, for example, you could do all of those things using voice commands. There is a list.
Hey, mentor.
There is a list.
Voice help.
And as you can see on the video, hopefully that's coming through on your sound. If you commanded voice help, it would actually present this chart. It's actually an excerpt from the manual of the device, but it takes you through to the section on the device where it shows you the voice commands that are supported by the device. So that's if you say voice help. And as we update the devices, as we update the software periodically over the life cycle of this device, because it's a new device, so we're going to be doing lots more updates over the coming years. There will be a growing list of commands supported by the device, but also a growing list of languages and dialects. So currently, as you may have seen on the previous slide, we're only supporting English US or American English currently. In the software that's coming out later this year, in actually 2 months' time, early in December, we're going to be releasing that will contain the updates for French and German. So you'll be able to speak in those 3 languages ultimately when the software gets updated. And additional dialects or accents will be also supported. As you can tell by my accent, I'm English UK, but my English UK kind of accent still works with the English US that it's currently supporting. But will be other dialects such as Indian and Australian will also be supported in the English language for that software update. So more to come on the software updates in the future in a webinar that's coming out next month. So there's much more coming in 4.1. But in terms of voice, we'll be launching additional language and dialect support as well as additional commands. So lots more coming there. So kind of a moment now to talk about the use cases. So why would you use voice? There's 2 real use cases that we've identified and that justifies why we built in this capability on the MVIQ Plus. Really, the first one is when you're using the device and you would typically be close to the handset all the time because you need to interact with the buttons, the joystick and everything to steer the probe. But there are occasions where you will be wanting to, well, we will have to sometimes hold the probe with both hands. Sometimes you obviously, in order to interact with the device, you do have to release one of those hands to the device and touch the screen or press some buttons. But there's no need to do that with voice command. So there's a picture of me on the top right that you can see there when I'm holding the device. If I chose to, I could obviously remove my hands and interact with the screen and perform all these activities, for instance. But sometimes there are those occasions where you've got that probe positioned perfectly and you haven't got it set in a rigidizer or a probe holder, and it's not locked in place, basically. So using your hands to kind of keep it stationary is very appropriate, relevant. And those are occasions where you can just say, hey, mentor, freeze frame, for example. And then maybe you can release one of those hands and then, save the image, for example, or zoom in or change the brightness or something before saving it, for instance. We can do all of those other commands as I've listed on this chart, and obviously more. And that's when you're really in a position where it's you've spent quite a lot of time getting that probe to exactly where you need it to be to capture that image that you want to do. Or if you want to start your recording, for example, or save an image or do a measurement, for instance. So it's a very convenient way, an additional way of interacting with your device. And if you chose to, as I've mentioned a little bit earlier, you can connect your device with your headset. And here's a sort of a snapshot I took of my screen when I was connecting my device to my AirPods. So you can turn on your Bluetooth and pair up in this case, my AirPods, and you can use them as you would do if you connected your AirPods to your phone, for example. And then obviously when you say, hey, mentor, you get the sound coming through your AirPods or your headset rather than through the sound that's generated from the speakers on the device. I guess the beauty of that is you can kind of talk, you can talk normally. You can talk normally anyway with the device, but you might be tempted to kind of speak up, especially if there's lots of noise in the background and all the rest of it. But if you've got a headset attached, whether it's Bluetooth or USB, you can just talk as in a normal sort of volume, and it's like talking to your colleagues or to, you know, on a telephone conversation. You don't have to speak up or anything like that, and interact with it very naturally. The other real use case is when you're performing repetitive activities or actions on the device. So as you're perhaps going through a gas turbine inspection and you're encountering lots of defects on compressor blades, there will be occasions where you're having to regularly stop the blades, position your probe, and carry out a 3D phase measurement example of and a pointer line on a nick on the edge of a blade. So doing that, you're kind of pressing essentially three button presses on the screen before you can assign cursors and do your pointer line measurement. If you're using voice, you can just wake it up, say, "Hey mentor, pointer line measurement," and it will take you through to the next window, which is assigning cursors to your image. So it will capture your 3D phase measurement image, and it will automatically select pointer line. So this is relevant for when you've got obviously a 3D phase measurement tip fitted, because 3D PM tips are smart tips. So as you attach and detach them from the probe, the device understands what tip that is, obviously if it's a 3D PM tip, and what serial number it is, and all that calibration data is appropriately loaded in such that when you take measurements, they're obviously accurate measurements. So there's no need to sort of say 3D PM capture. You can say that, but you can just say pointer line measurement. And because your 3D PM tip is already fitted, it will do a 3D PM capture and then automatically select the pointer line measurement, for example, if that's what you commanded. So this video just takes you through essentially what I'm going to demonstrate to you now. So let's take you through a practical demo with me doing it, going through those examples here on my device. So as I drag that window across, you can see the live image that I have on the device. I've turned it on. If I just show you in settings, there is an audio settings. Voice commands is turned on. And it's worth mentioning, because there is a microphone attached, obviously incorporated into the device, you can actually, as you're recording, it can be recording sound. And that's just another setting that you now see in this page for recording audio. But I'm not talking about recording audio. So if I turned off voice commands, you see the icon on the top right hand side, the microphone with the slash taken through it. So that means if I said, "Hey mentor," nothing would happen because it's been deactivated. So if I go back in, turn on voice commands, come back to live, you see the icon has returned back to its normal sort of status. So if I say, "Hey mentor," "Hey mentor," freeze frame. So it didn't wake up straight away then. It took me the second attempt, ironically. So it's woke up and it gives you those that animation on the top of the screen, and there's a little sort of audio chime that hopefully you probably heard on the sound here. So it woke up, and then so that it wakes up and it's kind of listening for your next command, and it gives you sort of 3 or 4 seconds to say something. And obviously I said freeze frame, so it recognized freeze frame and perform that activity. If it didn't recognize it, it would come up with an error to say, "I didn't recognize what you said," and it would just go back to the normal live state and the animation would stop. So you'd have to wake it up again and try again. So now it's on the freeze frame state. I'll wake it up again and take it back to live. I'll just show you what happens here. "Hey mentor," go back to live. So, hey mentor, blade tip clearance measurement. Well, there you go. There's a good example where it didn't actually work on the blade tip clearance. Let's try it again. Hey mentor, blade tip clearance measurement. Okay, so the 3D PM tip's already fitted. Yes, I've already set it up to this 3D measurement block that's on my desk. So I know it was going to work for a 3D phase measurement because I'd already set it up. But there's an example where I would have normally had to interact with the device 3 times. I'd have had set 3D PM capture. I would have then to press the measurement button, and then I would have had to press the blade tip clearance measurement tile. Instead of doing any of those things, I just said what I said, and I'm now in that state where it's actually, in this case, because I picked an automatic measurement type, it's actually done the measurement automatically for me. So you can see the point cloud on the right-hand side and the 2D image on the left. So what I'll do is take it back to the live state and change the image and do a point-to-line measurement. So let's, hey mentor, go back to live. Now it's asking if I wanted to save the image, which is perfectly obviously normal. And I'm rather than tapping the screen and saying and engaging no, just to demonstrate another activity, you can say soft key number 3, and basically, or number 2, so that we have these 4 soft keys on the bottom of our of the screen. And obviously, what you see on the bottom of the screen depends on all sorts of factors where you are in the device. So here we have a prompt that says yes or no to save an image. I'm going to want to say no, and okay, I could have obviously just touched the screen by now, but just to demonstrate to you another command that works. So it's hey mentor, soft button 2. Oh. Hey mentor, soft button 2. There you go. So it commanded soft button 2, again, for the second time of attempting. And in this case, soft button 2 coincided with the no command. Right, let's move this. I wanted to show you, let's say, another measurement type. So I was going to bring it across and show you, let's see, a nick, measure a blade. Let's do that. That'll be fine. Hey mentor, point to line measurement. So it captures the 3D PM image just like it would do normally. It goes to the measurement state and it activates point to line. So it's now completed that action, and now you're invited to assign the cursors. So it's not like it does the measurement for you. Obviously, you as a user would need to do that. But it takes you there really quickly. So it does save you time. It's there available to you on all of these Borescopes. So it's if you can get used to interacting, it saves you a lot of time pressing rather than having to press all these buttons. There you go, taking back to live there now. So a few more slides. Hardware applicability. Actually, you just heard me say a moment ago, it applies to all of the MVIQ pluses, all of the devices, regardless of the model. There's 3 models, Start, Enhance, and Pro. So all of those 3 models, from the very lowest to the top of the range, are all enabled with voice command capability. They all not just have the same hardware, but they have the same software in terms of being able to do everything that you've just seen me demonstrate. I happen to be using the Pro model here, but yes, it works on the mid and the lowest tier model, the Enhance and the Start as well. And all those 3 models are equipped with everything that you see on the right-hand side of this chart. So they do have Bluetooth and what I meant to say is Bluetooth and USB capability. The USB being obviously the ability to obviously attach a USB-enabled device, as well as one that is activated or connected through Bluetooth. And I mentioned these other aspects of not just voice activation, but digital connectivity. So digital connectivity to our cloud, which is InspectionWorks. So you can push data from all of these devices to the cloud. You can connect these devices to smart devices or connected tablets or smartphones, whether they're powered through iOS or Android. And they're all equally capable of interacting with InspectionWorks, such that when the software is available for updates, it will check. Well, it always checks for updates when you turn on the Wi-Fi and connect to a network. And when they're available, you will get prompted to download them, which kind of just as a reminder, 4.1 is available or will be available in a couple of months. So we'll speak more about 4.1 in the future. So just a few moments really talking about sort of kind of questions that you might have. If you've got any that you want to post or write down at the end of this session, please do so. But currently, yes, we support English US, and it does work for me, English UK, and it does work for other dialects as well, but it will be supporting these other dialects soon. So I talk about the UK, Indian, and Australian version of the English language. French and German will be supported as well in the near future. If you're thinking about whether it can learn new commands, the answer is no. Essentially, it's kind of hard coded into the device. There's lots of commands supported, and they're kind of listed out in the manual. And you can download the manual from our website, or indeed load up the manual by pressing the help button on the device. So there's a long list of commands that it supports. But yes, they are fixed, and those commands kind of grow over time as we get more feedback from the field for what they would like to, our customers would like to see included. Audio. So the audio is not stored or transmitted anywhere. Yes, you can store audio on saved video, or as you're in the process of saving video during your inspection. If it's activated, you can obviously deactivate it or mute it temporarily by going into the settings that you saw me earlier. And just a small comment on typical commands. So the ones that I use the most, and I think the ones that you would use the most on the Borescope, are freezing and start it and saving images, recording, starting, pausing and stopping records. If you're wanting to change your brightness and you're kind of moving into a larger chamber that requires more brightness, or perhaps you need to drop it down to a lower level. So image transforms and adjusting your image composition is a very sort of user-friendly way of, because that again takes multiple presses to do that. And if you're driving through and using your Borescope and busy sort of concentrating on the screen, by just saying it in your headset or obviously speaking through directly onto the device, it's a very convenient way of adjusting the quality of your image through voice. And yes, if you're doing those inspections where frequent repetitive instances of measurement are required, then there's a huge opportunity to save a lot of time. And also, from a human factors point of view, sometimes you can press the wrong buttons because you're not concentrating so much if you're doing it repetitively. By just saying point-to-line measurement or blade to clearance, and all of the other measurement types are supported. If you've definitely got obviously a 3D PM tip fitted, if you haven't, if it's a stereo tip, for instance, you would need to select what tip is fitted first, and then those measurement commands would work. So that's the end of this session. Now's a good time to pause. If you've got any questions, I'll take them now. Thank you very much for connecting. Do appreciate it. I appreciate all the feedback that I've received offline. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next month where there's more news to announce. Thank you very much. Goodbye.